Before you toss those old book pages, let me show you how they could completely transform your mixed media projects. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? My name is Tiffany Solorio. If you are new here, welcome. I would love for you to consider hitting that subscribe button so you can join the community as we make our way to 100,000 subscribers. Super excited about that. We are on day 18 of 20 days of creative play. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to get this free PDF. It's linked in the description box for you, so you could follow along with all of the prompts. So today I'm going to be working right in my art journal because sometimes it's nice to just play without worrying about turning it into a finished project. I've done this throughout this series and throughout the years I've been doing mixed media. It is such a great way to get creative, again, without stressing about finishing a project or how it's going to turn out. Surprisingly, I don't have any old book pages, so I'm going to be using these typed ledger sheets from Dina Wakley. But honestly, this collage technique works with anything you have on hand. Gel prints like we used the other day. You can use pattern paper, leftover backgrounds from your stash, anything. All right, so we are going to be building the base, and I'm going to be tearing the ledger sheets into smaller pieces and then layering them onto my art journal. So I did choose a few different sheets from the Dina Wakley ledger pack, and with no rhyme or reason, I'm going to be tearing the ledger sheets into smaller pieces. That way we can collage them onto my art journal. I am looking for a lot of variation within this background. So I'm going to take the different sheets and, some of them I'll tear off the bottom, some of them I'll tear off the top or like the middle section. And I will end up tearing these up a little bit more. But I do want to make sure that I get mostly text. I do like some of the little, like the ledger pieces from the top of the paper. And then there are some numbers that I'm going to tear off as well, just to give some variation on this background. Now for this, because we are going to be using a lot of water, I did decide to adhere these pieces with some liquid glue. You can use matte gel medium if you want to, or another type of liquid glue. However, I just decided it was quick, and then I'm going to start piecing them together. Again, I'm going to put kind of like the first layer down, and then I can look and see like maybe I want something else here, or, I can tear off something there. Just like we've been doing the last couple times when we've been collaging. Same concept, just sort of a different type of paper. Now I do want to make sure that these are adhered really good, so I am going to be adding more glue. And this is some tacky glue. I forget the exact name. I'm not 100% sure if I like it, but it was what was available at the store. So I typically like to use Fabri-Tac. That's one of my favorites. Just thought I would give this a try. Never hurts to try something new. Now I am overlapping some of these pieces on top of each other. That way, once we start adding the paint wash, it will have a lot more dimension and interest in the background. And I am going to kind of piece in little tiny pieces here and there, just so that it is all covered. The whole background is covered. And I am using my Arteza art journal. I'm not 100% sure if I said that already, but these are great because they're a really good size, especially if you're just starting out. It's not too big or too small, so it's perfect. Now, once that dries, I am going to cut off the excess so that I can get a clear picture of what I'm working with. All right, so I like how this looks. I'm not going to add anything else, but stick with me because right now it's just scraps on an art journal page, but you won't want to miss what happens once we start adding the color. Now we're going to add a thin coat of clear gesso. Now this is just to make sure that the typing on this paper isn't going to bleed and make a muddy mess. I haven't ever used these before, so I'm not too sure how they would react to just adding paint to it. So adding a clear gesso is a great way to just kind of prep your papers. So once that dries, we can add some of our color. I'm going to be using distress paint here. You can use whatever paint you have on hand. I have a ton of these and I fell in love with these actually when I did my distress paint class. So many fun techniques. If you have some distress paint in your stash, I highly recommend checking out YouTube videos, or you can also check out my class. It will be linked down below for you so you could check it out. I'm going to add a few dollops of the paint onto my glass mat, and I am going to add quite a bit of water to these because this is a wash. Now this is where the magic happens. The typed lines start peeking through the color and it instantly feels more cohesive. I'm going in first with some speckled egg and weathered wood, just give a quick wash with that. And then what I'm going to do is spritz a little bit of water onto that background and then pick some of it up with a paper towel. This is going to start giving some more dimension and interest to the background without just kind of like a plain wash over top. I'm going to give that a quick dry, and once that dries, I'm going to start adding a couple more colors. I'm going to add pumice stone, and then in the end, I do go in with a little bit of frayed burlap, but as the paint settles into the texture of the torn edges, it begins to stop looking like random scraps and starts feeling like a real background. This is definitely the part that I love, just adding paint, letting my creativity flow, and just kind of letting go of expectations. I am going to be splattering on some of that color, adding more water to it to make it more fluid, and then just continuing to repeat that process until I like the background. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this background, pick up some of that paint, and then again, repeat the process until I like my background. Once it's dry and I like what's going on, I decided to add a little bit of frayed burlap. It wasn't my favorite color, to be completely honest, so I'm just gonna kind of smudge that out a little bit, mix it in with the other colors that are on the background. Because they are still just a tad bit wet in some areas, so I'm able to kind of mix it in a little bit. It definitely helped a lot. So if something like that happens to you where you're like, oh no, what did I just do? Most everything can always be fixed. So don't stress about it. And again, if you end up not liking this, no worries. It's definitely just fun to play with your supplies, and you learned what not to do. Sometimes that's an important lesson too. You can always take something out of a creative session, no matter if you like the project or not. I am going to finish this off with some splatters with some of that weathered wood and speckled egg, and I absolutely love this. Again, I'm not too sure what I want to do with it just yet, but it is a great starting point to a most likely a wonderful art journal page. Now look at what just started as a pile of scraps is now a beautiful background full of texture and character. That's the beauty of art journaling. It's all about exploring and watching things come to life on the page. Now remember, this technique works with almost anything: ledger paper, book pages, gel prints, or whatever you have in your stash. Now this is day 18 of 20 days of creative play, and you can grab that free PDF with all 20 prompts down below. If you do try this collage technique, tag me on social media. I'd love to see what you create. Until next time, don't forget to stay creative, and I'll catch you all for day 19.